when Allah placed a baby in a basket and set him on the Nile. Pharaoh's soldiers were everywhere. Every Israelite boy born was to be killed. And a mother did the most impossible thing a mother can do. She let go. But understand this, that basket was in Allah's hands. And nothing in Allah's hands is ever lost. Moses grew up inside Pharaoh's palace. He wore silk. He ate from golden plates. Egypt's greatest scholars sat across from him and filled his mind with knowledge. But every morning when he walked out of that palace he saw it whip marks, bent backs, hollow eyes. These were the Israelites. These were his people. One day he saw an Egyptian soldier beating an Israelite man. Moses stopped. And he did something. He killed the soldier. By the next morning everyone knew. Pharaoh knew. Moses ran. He left the palace, the luxury, the gold, the silk. He ran to Midian. He collapsed beside a well exhausted, alone, not knowing what came next. Years passed in the desert. A prince became a shepherd. He followed sheep across rocky hillsides. Simple life. Quiet life. Until one evening on the slope of Mount Tur, he saw something strange. A bush was burning. It burned. And burned. And burned. But it didn't die. Moses moved closer. He stared at it. The color of the fire was wrong, too bright, too still, not flickering the way normal flames flicker. And then a voice came. "Oh Moses." Moses froze. "I am your Lord. Remove your sandals. You are in the sacred valley." The Qur'an describes this moment. We called out to him, "O Moses, I am your Lord." Taha, 11-12. What did Allah tell him? Go back. Go back to Egypt. Stand before Pharaoh. And say, release the children of Israel. Moses' first response was not fear. It was doubt. He said, "My Lord, I cannot speak eloquently. My tongue fails me. Who will listen to me?" The Qur'an records his words. He said, "My Lord, expand for me my chest, and ease for me my task, and untie the knot from my tongue, that they may understand my speech." Taha, 25-28. Allah said, "Your brother Aaron will be with you, and I am with you both. I hear everything. I see everything." Moses looked down at the staff in his hand. A shepherd's stick. Old wood, worn smooth from years in his grip. He picked it up. And he walked back toward Egypt. He entered Pharaoh's throne room. Picture that moment. He had grown up as a prince in this palace. He had walked these corridors. Now he stood in shepherd's clothes, staff in hand, dust on his feet, and the man on the throne was staring at him. Pharaoh looked at him for a long time. He recognized him. He knew this face. This was the boy who had grown up in his palace. This was the baby his wife had pulled from the Nile. A slow, cold smile. "So, you came back." Moses did not bow. He said, "Pharaoh, the Lord of all worlds sends you a message. Release the children of Israel. Let them go with us." Pharaoh looked around at his court generals, priests, advisors. Then he laughed. They laughed with him. Lord of all worlds, I know no such Lord. I am the Lord here. The Qur'an records Pharaoh's arrogance precisely. Pharaoh said, "And what is the Lord of the worlds?" Ash-Shu'ara, 23. Moses placed his staff on the floor. It became a serpent. The throne room went silent. Pharaoh's sorcerers rushed forward. They threw their staffs down. Their staffs became serpents too. But Moses' serpent moved through them, one by one, and swallowed every one of them whole. The sorcerers fell to the ground immediately. They said, "We believe in the Lord of Moses and Aaron." They had come as Pharaoh's servants. They left as believers. Pharaoh's face darkened, but he did not bow. Then Allah sent the signs. The Nile turned to blood. Not murky, not rust-colored. Blood warm, dark, filling every vessel, every channel, every cup. The fish rose to the surface and died. A rotting smell spread across every city. Egypt could not drink, could not wash. The river that had given this civilization its life ran red for days. Pharaoh said, "Remove it and I'll let them go." The blood cleared. He changed his mind. Then came the frogs. Millions of them, pouring out of the water, flooding into homes, into beds, into kitchens, into food, into the corridors of the palace itself. Courtiers woke to frogs on their pillows. Frog in their sandals. Frogs in their cups. Pharaoh said, "Make it stop." It stopped. He changed his mind again. Locusts came. Darkness fell, 3 days of darkness so total, so physical, that people were afraid to reach their hands out in front of them. Livestock died. Crops were destroyed. Each time the sign came, Pharaoh broke. Each time it lifted, he hardened. The Qur'an describes this pattern, but every time we removed the affliction from them until a term which they were to reach at once, they broke their word. Al-Araf, 135. Until the final sign. That night, in every Egyptian household, from the poorest mud hut to the gleaming corridors of Pharaoh's palace, the firstborn son died. Pharaoh's own son died. And Pharaoh, for the first time, wept. He summoned Moses in the middle of the night. His face was broken. His voice was hollow. He looked like a man who had finally understood something he should have understood long ago. "Go," he said. "Take your people and go. Never show me your faces again." The children of Israel left at night. Hundreds of thousands of them. Old men who could barely walk, mothers carrying infants. Flocks of sheep, everything they owned loaded on their backs. They walked through the dark and kept walking when the sun came up. Before them, a pillar of fire moved through the night. A pillar of cloud moved through the day. Allah was leading them. They walked toward the sea. Yamsup, the Reed Sea. The waters stretched wide and deep before them. And then they heard it. Hoofbeats. Wheels. The sound of an army moving fast. Pharaoh had changed his mind. Again. 600 war chariots. Cavalry. Soldiers, a wall of dust rising on the horizon behind them. The Israelites turned and saw the army. They turned back and saw the sea. Nowhere to go. Behind them Pharaoh. In front of them water. on both sides open desert. They turned on Moses. Some wept. Some screamed, "Look what you've done. We should have stayed in Egypt. At least we were alive." Moses stood still. He looked at the army. He looked at the sea. He looked at his people, this frightened, exhausted, furious crowd who had forgotten, in this single moment of terror, every miracle they had already witnessed. And he said, "No. Allah is with us." The Quran records his words exactly. Moses said to his people, "Seek help from Allah and be patient. Indeed, the earth belongs to Allah. He causes to inherit it whom He wills of His servants. And the outcome is for the righteous." Al-Araf 128. Then Allah spoke directly to Moses. "Strike the sea with your staff." Moses raised his staff. He struck the water. And the sea split. Not slowly. Not gently. The Quran describes it with one word of stunning precision, fainfalaka. It split. Immediately. Completely. Each section became like a massive mountain. And we inspired Moses, "Strike the sea with your staff." And it split, and each part was like a great towering mountain. Ash-Shu'ara 63. Two walls of water, dark and trembling, held in place by nothing human. Between them dry ground. Flat, firm, walkable ground. The people stood at the edge and could not speak. Moses stepped forward first. And the nation followed. Hundreds of thousands walked between two walls of water. Children looked up at the sea suspended above them. Old men walked ground that had been underwater an hour before. The sound was enormous, the wind, the water, the footsteps of hundreds of thousands, and yet inside that corridor there was something that felt like sacred silence. Like the held breath of the universe. They reached the other shore. They turned around. Pharaoh's army was in the middle of the seafloor, charging hard, chariots moving fast, horses driving forward. Allah commanded the sea. The walls fell. 600 chariots. Thousands of soldiers. Horses, spears, shields, the full military might of the most powerful empire on earth. The sea closed over all of it. In seconds. The Quran records Pharaoh's final moment drowning, too late, saying, "I believe that there is no God except the one the children of Israel believe in." And Allah's response was firm, "Now when you disobeyed before and were of the corruptors." Yunus 90-91. Some doors close. And then there was nothing. Just water. Flat, calm, quiet water. As if an army had never existed. As if Pharaoh had never existed. The children of Israel stood on the far shore. Some were shaking. Some had dropped to their knees, some were laughing and crying at the same time, that overwhelming collapse that happens when something too large passes through you and your body doesn't know which emotion to choose. Moses knelt on the sand and made sajda. This story has been recounted in the Quran in multiple surahs in Al-Baqarah, Al-Araf, Yunus, Taha, Ash-Shu'ara. Allah returned to it again and again. Not because the miracle needed repeating, but because the lesson inside it does. Because we forget. We see miracles and then we forget them. We are saved and then we doubt the one who saved us. We receive and then we demand more. We are the children of Israel too, not by blood but by nature. We are people who stand at impossible seas and say, there is no way forward. And Allah says, strike the water. Not after you figure out the plan. Not after you understand how it's going to work. Not after the fear leaves. Now. With what is in your hand. Strike the water now. Think about the mother who let go of the basket. She did not know where the current would take her son. She did not know about the palace, about Pharaoh's wife, about the 40 years in the desert, about the burning bush, about the staff, about the sea. She knew nothing except that she could not keep him and she could not watch him die. So she placed him in Allah's hands. And Allah placed him in Pharaoh's palace, to destroy Pharaoh's kingdom from the inside. Every step that looked like loss was actually positioning. Every year that looked like waiting was actually preparation. The basket on the river. The years in the desert. The stutter that made Moses doubt himself, that same stutter stood before the most powerful man in the world and did not break. Allah does not waste a single moment of your story. Not the hard ones. Not the ones that make no sense. Not the ones that feel like the sea is in front of you and the army is behind you and there is absolutely nowhere to go. Especially not those ones. Because those are the moments He has been preparing you for. And strike the sea.